What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So one of the dirtiest words in gaming right now, especially on the PC side, is de novo. It's an anti-tamper measure that whenever it's announced for an upcoming highly anticipated game, sees a lot of frustration and backlash from gamers. Well, yesterday there was an announcement made that de novo would actually be heading to the PlayStation 5, at least somewhat. We're going to go over what this exactly means here today. Also, we're going to talk about an awesome game announcement that was made yesterday, as it looks like we have a new Ninja Turtles game to look forward to that actually looks really good. And we're also going to talk about why EA Gate was trending on Twitter yesterday after there were allegations made that an EA employee was selling some of those FIFA Ultimate Team cards for thousands of dollars. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Small Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Batman Arkham Knight. Now, when this game came out, what was that, like 6 years or so ago? It is weird to think that game is that old now, but when it came out, it ended like the Arkham trilogy, I guess, at the time, and it came out on PC, didn't do too well, but on consoles at least worked. It was okay. But I have looked back on that game, especially with the newer hardware, with the Xbox Series X or the Series S, or even I guess the One X at the time. It's never seen any kind of enhancement patch or improvement, but some people spotted some new images that was posted up by Microsoft themselves, and you can see this here. It appears to have that little Xbox Series X and S optimized badge, and it has the Game Pass badge there as well. It's already on Game Pass, so that's not a big deal there, but the game itself is 900p at 30 frames per second. So with what we've seen Microsoft do recently with some of the Xbox One games that had like their frame rate doubled with the new tool that they've introduced, I'm hopeful that that means that this game will maybe get something like 60 frames per second, or who knows, maybe they go all out and they do a full patch for enhancements for like the Series X or even the Series S. It's still a good looking game, but you take that from 900p up to maybe 4K even, and it could look really, really good. But the Arkham Knight was okay. I still think City is the best one, but I mean, we're talking about 3 good games here, so you really can't go wrong with them. Also, a quick heads up here, Resident Evil Village is coming up fast, and people are very excited for it, which means people will try to take advantage of that excitement. Capcom had to give everyone a heads up that there appear to be some phishing scams going on through email. We can see this was sent out by Capcom, where they say the sender address is being displayed as noreply@capcom.com. The publisher explained in an email, "We want to inform you that these messages are not from Capcom and appear to be phishing attempts by an unauthorized third party. If you have received such a message, please do not download any files or reply and delete the message immediately." This is something that seems to happen a lot. For any product that's hyped up like crazy, I mean, even with the PS5, there were emails I remember people had talked about online where they would be a beta tester for the PS5. They just had to download a survey or fill out their information on this one website, and then they would have access to a PlayStation 5 system. It's just the way it is. People try to take advantage of these hype levels. Resident Evil Village has been talked about quite a bit. People are very excited, so naturally, hey, early access, and all I have to do is put my social security number in or download this program, and then I can get access to it. Yeah, don't pay attention to these emails, just kind of skip right over them. Oh, and a quick update to Nintendo repairing 3DS systems. We had talked about before how that service was going to go through the end of March. Apparently, that's not happening because they ran out of parts. Check this out over here. This from Video Games Chronicles. Due to the fact that we no longer have repair parts in stock, we will no longer be able to accept repairs for the Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo 3DS XL as of March 8th, 2021. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, and thank you for your understanding. It's interesting because they just made that statement that they would be able to repair them, and now they realize they're out of parts, which I assume would be like the screens. I mean, the charge ports, you find those everywhere right now, but like, that's what I'm figuring. Maybe even that top screen, that's the part that would break the most, or the hinges and the plastics, but like, they didn't count the parts before they just made the announcement like 5 or 6 days ago. Either way though, yeah, the 3DS, as we know, discontinued in all of this, but now it looks like as of right now, you wouldn't be able to send it in for repair either way. I had mentioned this before in a video over the weekend. Yeah, they're gonna be getting pretty rare, I would say, over the next couple of years. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the PlayStation 5 and de novo. As I said before, it's a word people don't like to hear with a game they're looking forward to to, especially on PC. You have these anti-tamper measures in that can at times affect your performance overall and can get kind of invasive when it comes to your PC and your overall files that you have on there. There are a lot of different videos and stories about what the Denuvo will do at times to your PC. I remember Doom Eternal, that was a very big deal with that and some of the privileges it needed when going through your system. But it looks like the PS5 is going to be using Denuvo in some way, and we're going to go over that here in a second. But first, let's head over to their site where they have this statement here saying Denuvo's anti-cheat incorporates advanced technology to secure both online gameplay as well as securely reward offline progress. The technology helps game developers protect sensitive game logic or data, preventing cheaters from changing sensitive variables and ensuring its trustworthiness. A number of games incorporated Denuvo's anti-cheat at launch of PS5 to ensure best experience for the gamers. That's right. Denuvo is actually on the PS5 now, according to this release, and they also put like a little graphic up that you can see here kind of talking about. And by the way, Denuvo anti-cheat is also supported by the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Xbox Series system. So it's not just the PS5. For some reason, they just put out a whole press release about it being part of like the PS5 middleware and all this. And there is a bit of a distinction to make here. We have Denuvo anti-tamper, and then we have Denuvo anti-cheat. Anti-cheat was actually introduced and announced in 2019. I know it was used in Doom Eternal, and there was a massive deal made about Doom Eternal and Denuvo with anti-tamper and anti-cheat. However, according to id, that wasn't necessarily had anything to do with performance. It just seemed like there was a lot of backlash to it for the single player side of things, so they wanted to just remove it outright. Now, how much do you necessarily believe that, since it's PR and they're trying to spin it? Hard to say. Either way, though, when people see Denuvo, they immediately have kind of a pullback from it, and I get it. It doesn't have the best history, despite part of their press release mentioning that it doesn't really affect performance or any of that, even though there is a lot of evidence to kind of contradict that one. But anti-cheat is a bit different than the anti-tamper measures that we've seen before in the past. So while there was a lot of backlash to the initial report that Denuvo was going to the PlayStation 5, it's a bit different. It's not the anti-tamper that has had a lot of issues in the past. It's the anti-cheat that is a bit different and seemingly a bit lighter on the overall experience and system overhead, as some people have also talked about on Twitter. So we'll see how this affects things, I guess, but it's already in different games according to the statement here. So we've already been using it since the launch of the PS5, and for the most part, things have been running pretty well. Next up, let's talk about that awesome game announcement that has me really, really excited. We're gonna head over here to the trailer for it, and this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Now, this is from Dotemu. You may have recently played their published Streets of Rage 4, which is very, very good. But they started showing this trailer during the announcement. They just posted it up online, and I was going through it. I'm like, all right, so far, this looks cool, but obviously it wasn't gameplay or anything like that, and I was wondering if they were going to show it, so I was cautiously optimistic, and then they shifted over to the gameplay, and immediately I got Turtles in Time vibes, and that is a good thing because some of the Turtles games we've had recently just haven't been that good. This looks like they are making a massive callback to the 90s when a lot of us who had Super Nintendos or even Sega Genesis with Hyperstone Heist, or we were playing it in the arcade, remember so fondly. And while Dotemu is publishing it, Tribute Games is developing this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and Tribute Games was founded by ex-Ubisoft developers who had actually worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And on top of that, they have several games they've already made dating back to 2010. Some of these include Panzer Paladin, that was actually pretty good overall, and Flint Hook. So they have a couple of games that they've done that have come out pretty well. And it appears that at GDC, Dotemu actually kind of seeked them out and had the idea of this Ninja Turtles game, and they wanted to work with Tribute Games to do it and actually have a presentation set up for Nickelodeon. So there appears to have been a lot of thought put into this, and they haven't really been able to get too into specifics with this one. I don't think it's coming out this year then, the way they're kind of talking about it. They said it's coming to PC and unspecified consoles. I assume this is probably going to everything. I mean, just look at the way it looks and all this. Yeah, it's probably going to be on the Switch, the PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, S, the Xbox One, basically everything there. And Dotemu's been pretty good about getting all of those different versions out for things like Streets of Rage 4 on time. But yes, Very excited for this. They even showed the scene where they throw the foot soldier at the screen, like Turtles in Time. So they could have an entire boss based around that, similar to that game. So I'm excited for this one. Still a lot of questions though, obviously. Is this gonna have full couch co-op with up to 4 players? Are there more playable characters than just the Turtles, as we saw April O'Neil and we saw Splinter kind of in the trailer there, and online multiplayer? How long is the game? Are there minor RPG elements thrown in where the Turtles will level up? So I mean, like I said, these are the Ubisoft developers who also worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, so there could be a lot to this game, and we're just seeing some initial screens and just an overall idea of what they're going for here. So I am very excited for this one. I'm gonna be following it closely and look forward to when we get another good Ninja Turtles game, one that appears making an awesome callback to the 90s. Next up, we've occasionally touched on the idea of where VR is going to go. How do we make it more and more immersive? Or maybe more and more creepy? I'm not sure. I guess that's what happens when you get more and more immersive with VR, because check this one out. This is the Vive Facial Tracker. Express more than words in VR. It appears to be an attachment for the HTC Vive, coming soon at $169.99. And according to their posting here, this is on Vive.com, capture true-to-life facial expressions and mouth movement with precision. Read intentions and emotions in real time. Lip movements accompany voice thanks to almost zero latency, bring a new dimension to human interactions across educational, medical, and creative applications. Discover the potential of this VR game changer. And you can see some examples of it. Apparently it'll track your lips and your teeth, and with zero latency, everything should match up with like the lip sync and all this. Tracks up to 38 facial movements, a hint of a scowl, a sneer, a smile. Vive Facial Tracker captures expressions and gestures with precision through 38 blend shapes across the lips, jaw, teeth, tongue, cheeks, and chin. So this, I would assume, is something that would be useful in any of like those multiplayer VR games online where you'd be talking to each other, because then you can look right at each other and see like the mouth moving with the voice. I mean, it's interesting. It is something, I guess, that is pushing VR forward and making it more immersive. And I guess the attachment would just be looking at your mouth the entire time while you were talking and able to sync all of that up. Very interesting. We'll see. I guess Oculus might do something similar. Who knows? Maybe Sony is thinking about something like this too, but there we have it. Vive is going to start tracking your mouth movements and getting that into the game as well. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about hashtag EAGate. Now, we all know, of course, EA's big moneymaker is the FIFA Ultimate Team. It's basically like randomized chance or loot boxes or card packs, even just virtualized for FIFA, where you'll pay money and then you have a chance to get some of the like legendary icon players and all this. I've never really gotten into it, but I've seen reactions online of people getting really, really excited about pulling the different rare players that you can get in the game. But what happens if you start selling that outside of the game? And what happens if you're an EA employee who has access to some of these legendary icons that you can then sell online to people, add it to their EA ID and their EA account, and receive thousands of dollars in exchange? Well, those would be the allegations going around right now. We can head over to VGC here, where it says Electronic Arts says it's investigating allegations that one of its employees has been selling rare FIFA Ultimate Team cards for cash. According to unconfirmed reports, the employee sold FIFA 21 Icon and Team of the Year cards in packages costing in excess of $1,100. And there are several tweets that are being passed around now showing apparent messages of conversations in which an EA employee discusses selling those cards for real cash. In a statement to VGC, EA says, "We are aware of the allegations currently circulating within our community related to FIFA 21 Ultimate Team items. A thorough investigation is underway, and if we identify improper conduct, we will take swift action. We want to be clear, this type of behavior is unacceptable, and we in no way condone what is alleged to have happened here. We understand how this creates concern about unfair balance in the game and competition. We will update the community as we get more clarity on the situation." So obviously, this is a massive issue for EA if it is true, and yeah, I assume if it is, and they find the employee who is selling these, they'll be terminated and probably, honestly, prosecuted at that point too. This damages their FIFA Ultimate Team badly for a couple of reasons. One, as as they say, the overall competitiveness of it gets thrown right out the window if you can pay thousands of dollars and get legitimately the best cards. And apparently the EA employee is able to like just add it to their account just outright, which is interesting. But on top of that, remember, one of EA's biggest arguments against the idea of loot boxes being a problem is that there's no real world value on these products. Like, you can't then sell that card unless you're an employee at EA, and you can then sell that card for real money. So that actually damages EA's argument that they're trying to make so that they continue to sell these loot boxes. Interesting situation to follow here. It was trending all over Twitter after this stuff started breaking, so we'll see if EA finds the employee that was doing this, if they were, and where things go from here. Before we head to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, what's the feature you want added the most in the next Switch update? And wow, surprisingly, 48% of you picked themes. Almost half of you chose themes over folders. In fact, folders was the least chosen option here at 13%. We had party chat rooms at 21%, and the eShop overall, which I actually think is the most important out of these, was 18%. So wow, half of you are not happy with light mode and dark mode. Those are the two options for themes. I mean, if you think about it, if you go back to like videos from the first year of the Switch, a lot of us just figured, Nintendo will add more themes. Why wouldn't they? They're not just gonna leave it as light mode and dark mode. And here we are 4 years later with light mode and dark mode. So I don't know, here's hoping that eventually we'll get like green mode or red mode, or the expectations and the hopes for themes are, the bar is set pretty low right now. And we'll finish up with a comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from the ZX saying, I want the 3DS OS back. Being able to change the size of the tiles and the amount on screen is so useful. So what I believe is going on with Nintendo is the biggest thing they want the Switch to be able to do is start up fast, right? They want the OS to be very, very quick, and they've talked about how small the OS technically is when you start it up. It's very, very efficient, and there's probably concern that if they allowed us to change the themes to like a big picture, like big wallpaper, it would slow it down. The idea of folders would slow it down, but really, I mean, at this point, I'll give up an extra second or two of loading if it means I can do things like on the 3DS where you can kind of organize things a bit better, you can do folders, you can zoom out. And really, I did that video over the weekend for the new 3DS XL, and I had it on and I was sitting there using it. I was like, it'd been a little while since I used the 3DS XL, and I was like, wow, the Switch is really behind the 3DS when it comes to overall home screen customization, and we're 4 years into the Switch. So here's hoping 5th year's a charm and Nintendo has some cool stuff planned for the overall system OS itself, but if it's been 4 years, I'm really not expecting much, and that sounds really weird with how basic the Switch is right now when it comes to those kind of features. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There's that new Ninja Turtles game that was announced. I think it looks awesome. Massive callback to the old Super Nintendo days or the arcade days. Looking forward to hearing more and more about that one. Also, what do you think about Denuvo? The anti-cheat measures on the PS5 now, not even going to the PS5, they're already being used. And then that HTC face tracker thing for VR. Where else can we go with VR at this point? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.